Hey everyone, this is Eric Rodriguez, and I want you to know that the future is human-centered. In this era of constant change and uncertainty, I recognize that it is hard to see the humanity. It is hard to see the humanity when we see headlines about AI every single week. It is hard to see the humanity when we see organizations and companies changing where they're operating, laying off folks, or having different changes. It is hard to see the humanity when we're globalizing economies and seeing ourselves in this work. But as an engineer, I got to see this front and center. You see, my work was an automation engineer, and my job was to automate work. But it was through those experiences I started realizing that not only the future is technological, more importantly, the future can be more human. Over the last few years, I've had the opportunity to speak in associations, organizations, and companies all around the country. And my commitment is to leave audiences empowered to see themselves in this future, to see their neighbors in this future, and to see their companies in this future. Because the future has an opportunity to be more human-centered. But we have to do the work. We have to understand that this era of constant change is not changing at all. If anything, the slowest rate of change we will ever feel is today, in this moment, as you're watching this video. But we could do something about it. We could bring ourselves and we could bring others along to see themselves in this future. And today I want to just share with you a couple of the concepts I've been sharing with audiences over the last few years. One is about how we make technology much more personable. You see, and I started thinking about this actually several decades ago when I was an automation engineer. And my job was, frankly, to automate work. And even myself, it was hard to see the humanity in this space. But I started to see the promise of technology and how we could bring others along. One concept I share with audiences today is the many-to-one approach. When we create technology, we're always thinking about who are the thousands and millions of people that are going to access this. In this era of constant change and accessibility, we're about to have 1 billion more people connected to the internet. So when we create technology, we're thinking about all these individuals that are going to be connected to my devices and to my experiences. However, we also need to think about the most personal experiences or the most thoughtful experiences. And one example I have for you today is actually an example that we all know about, is when the iPhone was launched. Steve Jobs had this idea to create the most personal experiences using technology. And when he launched this new platform, it was part of the most standard approach. A calendar, a calculator, a messenger, and your music. And he said, you know what? This is going to create the most personal experience. Well, guess what? Fast forward several years later, an iPhone screen looks like this. A very personal experience. You see, I picked every single app that's on here. I picked the order at their end. I picked what I get to interact with every single day. And even though technology, yes, it's important, the personal experience that I decide to have on it, it is my choice. In this era of constant change, but more importantly, constant opportunity, you have the ability to create the most personal experience in any platform you decide to utilize. Either if you're serving your organization, a community, a company, or your own business, how you create the most personal experiences create the premium experience. And this is what I call a many-to-one. Again, we're about to have 1 billion people connected to the internet in the next 5 years. How they feel connected themselves into this space, how they feel that their business, their community is seen and served matters. And so that's why I think a many-to-one strategy is needed today in every single organization. So the question I will ask you today is, are we creating technology simply just to scale and connect with folks? Or are we actually using them to deepen meaning? So when we decide to create any type of digital experiences or services in this 21st century, we need to realize that the most personal experiences are the ones that matter the most. The other conversation I like to have with audiences everywhere is helping organizations find the difference between their jobs and their work. You see, jobs are just metrics. In this era of measuring everything, we've created this data-centric approach to jobs. It's either something that's in a description in a LinkedIn profile, or on Indeed on a website because I'm trying to recruit someone, or simply just a next promotion with an email description on what I'm about to do next. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. We've been operating like that for decades. But we've forgotten the deeper meaning of this space. And that's where the work comes in. You see, the work is something that I get up for every single day. Something that's much more meaningful than just a job description or a LinkedIn title. It is the impact that I not only want to make today, but I want to leave behind for a better tomorrow. I have personally had opportunity to live through this. As an engineer myself, I was pretty much committed to that role, and I was having a great time. But my manager started seeing that outside of my job, I was doing something much more meaningful, much deeper than that. I was helping people connect with the future of STEM. And it was through that conversation I had with them that he challenged me and said, Eric, what is the impact that you want to go and make in this company? And immediately I was like, well, then it's got to be a job description that defines what I could do that, right? And he challenged me. He said, no, it's not. Every single job that you have from here on out is supposed to be serving your work. And more importantly, today in organizations, we need to have those conversations with our employees because they're seeing the headlines just like you are today. They're seeing jobs being cut here, jobs being gained over there, and they're all just data and noise. But the signal in that noise is the work. Every single employee today in every organization has a much more meaningful purpose. And how we help them find that purpose is what we have the opportunity to do today. In this era of constant change and abundance, I can tell you right now, it is work that will keep them more engaged. Because employees do not stay engaged simply just because of a job description. They stay engaged because they believe in their work. And again, today, as we are entering this 21st century of AI and data-centered, we could easily get distracted with the job descriptions. But I challenge you today that we have an opportunity to deepen the meaning of our work and connect everyone with a human-centered approach to the future of work. These are just a couple of the concepts I like to share with audiences around the world, either virtually or in person. And my commitment to all of you is to leave audiences empowered. And not only that, but see themselves in what the future could be. See themselves in a future that's going to be much more human-centered. Thank you.